Welcome to the God-Centered Recovery Podcast, brought to you by Narrow Gate Ministries. This podcast is dedicated to giving you a God-centered approach to recovery and to life. Follow along. Let's get started.
Well, my name is Walter Heaggans. From born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. I actually reside in Houston, Texas now. My family now, we moved here to be closer to my in-laws to kind of help them plan a church.
Uh-huh.
So that's what kind of brought us here. But now I'm a diehard Ravens fan, Oriole fan.
Nice.
No, I'm just humbly walking before the Lord, man. Just really trying to understand more, get away from superficial North American Christianity to really just more biblical, to see what the Lord says about how I love my wife, how do I treat my family, what
Mm,
He says success is, right?
that's good.
Um, and kind of go from there. So,
That's awesome. I was raised in multiple different denominations and grew up with a lot of different stuff, but yeah, it seems like over the past years, it's kind of a stripping down and then reading the word for myself and just kind of, getting the revelation and a new path. And it's very holistic.
right.
It's centered around being a better man. Jesus' words they're challenging. They are challenging.
That's
So
true.
been
So,
consuming that, involved in around family life and business and just this holistic life that was far different than what I experienced when I was growing up.
yes, sir. I totally agree. Like you
Yeah.
said, his words are tough. I mean, this sanctification process is a process.
Hmm.
I can believe instantaneously that I've accepted salvation, so I'm grafted with that grace. But walking and start getting my flesh to realize we're new is different. Like
Uh,
so,
yeah. For me, it's a whole mind renewal thing. I just kind
right.
of programmed and trained and, all of, these different ways. My mom, for example, was Catholic.
Oh
And,
wow.
my grandma was a Nazarene, and she put me in Nazarene church. And so it's just kind of weeding through, all these different things, coming to my own conclusion. But it's the mind renewal of what you're talking about, because there's
I
all these
agree.
patterns that we have.
And that's kind of how there's an event that I have the privilege of doing for next month called Porn and Pancakes.
Yes.
And it's dealing with the renewal of, you don't have to be entrapped in that. Will it be tough transition? Yes. Will you have
Yeah.
to put things in, like there's certain movies I don't watch anymore, right? There's things because my walk with the Lord is much more important than my happiness,
Mm,
right? I'm not
yeah.
missing out on anything, but if I know I can't watch these, I will not watch these already movies. Or if it's one me and my wife are going to see it together,
Right.
so she sees me turn my eyes and turn my head and things like that because I know what can get trapped up in here that I got to deal
Yeah.
with once this movie is gone, right?
Yeah.
So it's been, but I can honestly say, brother, it's Tim. It's been the response has been disheartening. Um, you talk to different leaders and pastors. It's like, oh, that's not an issue here. We're good. I'm like, brother, one out of
Wow.
every four men struggle
Wow.
with this. This is not a, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? This is not a simple thing. I
Yeah.
said, well, I said, I disagree. Now you might not be. I said, I disagree respectfully. Disagree. Um, but brothers need to. We want people to be better leaders in their homes, in their communities, in their churches. So
Right.
me and my wife are starting as a nonprofit called the Marital Journey, and that's the motto is marriage is a journey. Let's take it together, right? We'll walk
Yeah.
with this. We don't have all the perfect answers. We're coming on 18 years. By God's grace, we're still together, right? Um, but through that segue, that's kind of what's prompted the Porn and Pancake. There's events for men, right?
Right.
How to be a better man, how to be whole. A lot of times
Yeah.
we're
Mhm.
leading while bleeding, right? We're leading because we have these responsibilities. We got to do them. I mean, I had to provide. I had to do this. This is a part of my role, but I'm bleeding from this. My dad wasn't there,
Mhm.
or I saw a dysfunctional view of what fatherhood is.
Yeah.
Be a man. Sleep around many women you can.
Yeah.
That's what men do, and you kind of like.
Right.
But now that I'm can't truly enjoy the intimacy of my wife alone, something's wrong. Like something's
Right.
wrong with that. So yeah, that's kind of what we got coming up December the 7th, and trying to stay encouraged, to be honest. And
Yeah.
like, Lord, I believe you said it. I believe you said do this. And I'm excited because there are some brothers reached out to us like, thank you so much, man. So
Yeah.
we're excited. We're excited.
That's powerful. I man, I let's just go with this subject if you don't mind, brother.
Yes, sir.
So you said 1 out of 4 men struggle, huh?
Yes, sir. One
1
out
out of
of
4
struggle
men.
men struggle with I'm pull my little phone up real quick because on the flyer had some
Yeah.
stats on it. But
While you do that, I'm just gonna share, a personal struggle with the
yes, sir.
listeners. It's been about 3 years, porn free. It
Amen.
wasn't always my
Amen.
mindset. I was a Christian and I was going to church and doing those, going through the motions and stuff like that. But secretly struggled like a lot of men do. You
Right.
said 1 in 4. 1 of 4 of us, got this struggle. And I think we got this struggle because we know the expectations of our Lord, right? And we know what real intimacy is. We know what
Right.
powerful love and connection and relationship is. And so it cuts us to the core, right? And so we
Right.
have, all this guilt and all this frustration, all the shame, involved with that, which of course only spirals and then it keeps us silent also
Right.
because we're not willing to say, "Hey, brother, I'm struggling with this," and it's kind of taboo. Like, could you imagine, like, in a service, like saying that, like a pin would drop, like, brother said he's struggling with porn. I don't know.
Right.
uh,
And all the silent blinks. Me too.
like
The
what?
silent blinks, right?
Yeah.
But you think about it. I mean, it says 43% of pornography is morally accepted. It's morally accepted. 43%, almost half. People like it's okay. It's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So now you again through our culture, through Christianity, we realize we're going against the grain. Period. Right?
Mhm.
We're going against the grain. And since I live in Houston, I realized Houston, one of the top 10 cities for human sex trafficking.
Mm.
You think that's not by design? I mean, the
Yeah.
number one city is our nation's capital, so that's a whole nother conversation, right? It makes sense,
Wow.
right? The nation's capital, DC, is the top place for human sex trafficking, but that's what all our government official stuff is set in place too, right?
Right.
So
Right. Big
it's that's
business.
a big business. United States is top consumer of illegal child pornography now. So it's just this the numbers don't lie.
Mhm.
And so we want to be whole. Like you said, we want to be whole. Like, Lord,
Yeah.
fix this. I'm feeding something. I'm feeding something with this.
Yeah.
And, I am to enjoy my wife, but she's not my slut, right?
Right, right, that's
I am to
powerful. Mhm.
enjoy her, but I'm not to trick her out because of all this other filth I put in my mind. So two things are gonna happen. She's gonna say, whoa, 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 where did this come from? Like, wait,
Mhm. Where'd you get
or
that
this
from? Right.
right? Or the
Mhm.
second thing is you won't dare bring it to your wife because you love your wife, but I'm gonna have to find
It's gonna
somebody
do something
else
else, yeah. Mhm.
to get this out, right? And sometimes it's not outside of the household when you're dealing with molestation. So it's so many pieces that ties into this, man.
Yeah.
The lust of this flesh.
Yeah, I know for me personally, very destructive,
Hmm.
and in very minor ways, and this is why I think that we don't notice this, is that so for example, I'm consuming pornography and I'm doing it, who knows, 3, 4 times a week, right?
Right.
And intimacy with my wife is 1 time a week, and it's not very intimate,
Right. Right.
right? Because, I'm consuming all this other stuff. And
Exactly.
then I'll be lucky if it's maybe twice a month, to have an
Right.
intimate
You're right.
encounter. That's not intimate. Um, and I'm having all these experiences, by myself,
Right.
and and the intimacy is out the window, and I'm settling for cheap substitute.
Wow.
You know what I mean, brother?
Yeah, I understand. That's how I
Yeah.
almost lost my wife.
Right.
I had to act it out, and it wasn't with one woman. It had to be multiple,
Mhm.
right? And trying to hide this, and because of the shame, right?
Right.
Like
Mhm.
I know it's not right, but God, I can't stop. And to the point was like, Father, you got to expose me because I'm not strong enough to stop.
Mhm.
And that damaged my wife. Now my wife is was struggling with, am I not good enough? What's wrong with me? So all her insecurities are flaring up now. Um, and yeah, and I almost lost my family to it, brother. And I again, whatever you feed's gonna grow.
Mhm.
So we definitely had to put parameters in place. Like, I work in corporate America. I train. I have all my team is females.
Mhm.
All my team. So I always have to be cautious. I don't have one-on-one conversations with closed doors with them. I don't. There's some things I don't try not to get on the elevator. They don't ride in my car.
Right.
It's just things I put in place for me because I know me. I'm
Yeah.
not saying anything. I'm not saying they flirting. I'm not putting any ownership on them. I'm putting the ownership on me. Lord,
Right.
I want to keep my mind, let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart
Be
be
acceptable.
acceptable to
Mhm.
you. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
that's where I want to be. And
Yeah.
I don't that's what I want to be, man. So I don't need to call you man, Tim. I'm sorry. It feels so
Right.
comfortable.
Right.
But
I'm hearing you,
that's where
brother.
I want to be, brother. That's where
Mhm.
I want to be. And I want to see other brothers free. I mean, to totally lead their families and like I said, leading their churches, leading their communities.
That's awesome. So, what do you think is the steps out? You know what I mean? I know I looked at my experience and, I destroyed my marriage. So there
Wow.
wasn't anything to fix, but, I took that experience and got whole and got my mindset straight and, relationship connection back with God
Amen.
and knew every single falter. I'm like, that's not coming in my marriage. That's not coming. You know what I mean? And let's go on down the line. Fortunately, I had to learn by hard knocks, which is a
Right.
shame. But how do we get out? How do we get out, brother?
I mean, I guess any kind of battle, you gotta know your enemy.
Uh-huh.
Know your enemy, man. And sometimes your enemy is the enemy, right? The inner me is my enemy. When I look in that mirror, sometimes it's me.
Yeah.
And in the same thing, we gotta stop pouring in what's right. We have to surround ourselves with brothers, sisters, keep us accountable. I don't need you to be my friend. I need you to be accountable to my brother. To
Mhm.
tell me when I'm right. Tell me when I'm wrong. Right?
Yeah.
If you love me, you will correct me. We're gonna need around, especially men. We're gonna need around a bunch of yes men. We don't need that. We don't need that. But know your enemy. Realize, go through Book of James. Realize every man is led away by the lust of the flesh. So as you go to the Lord, just and go back to discipleship and devotion. So we a lot of times we are reactive. I'm in trouble. I need you, Lord.
Mhm.
Versus proactive. Lord, let me spend some time with you every day. Every day, I'm not a wordsmith. I don't know all the words, Lord, but I do know I need you. So help
Yeah.
me learn how to study. And so we do. So that's the first thing I said. Know your enemy. Know your enemy, because sometimes it's the enemy, and sometimes it's their inner me.
Mhm. That is so good. I
Um,
never heard that before, brother, but that's
man,
gonna stick.
and then we just gotta, like you said earlier, we gotta start renewing our mind.
Yeah.
Just because this might not be your vice, but you lie. In but corporate America, you in sales, but you steal.
Mhm.
God's not pleased with none of that.
No, right.
So, even as we're learning through this walk, sometimes there might be some jobs you can't take. If you know where you are, you're fragile in your marriage and things of nature, you might that could be a traveling, whatever that role calls for, and you being away from your family. You have to put that before Lord. Lord, my family, my walk with you is above everything else. You will take care of this family
Yeah.
because it's your family. You just give me some. I manage what you give me. I don't own any of this mess. I
Right.
only manage what you give me. So I don't think this job, okay, honey, will pay us 20, 30, 40, $50,000 more, but is it worth our marriage and the sanity of our children?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not worth it. So I guess it's a long answer to a short question.
Yeah.
Know your
It's
enemy.
good though.
Know your enemy.
Yeah. I think, looking back at, my life and all that stuff, um, I think just the overall intimacy in general with people was lacking. And, so it's easy to settle for a cheap substitute if you're not connecting on a deeper level with
Mm,
people, with God,
yeah.
and with your wife, and so it's easy to fall for these cheap substitutes, somehow along the way it becomes, because the disconnection, this fantasy becomes easier. You know what I
Right,
mean? Because you've drifted apart, you've done so much, and there's this guilt and shame, you got all these things and you're not talking. Of course you're not talking. Like we just like, you got all this stuff,
right,
buried
right.
buried deep down. So it's like, I don't even know what the question is on that, but, I see the progression and I see how
Yeah.
it happens, and I think doing the work for intimacy in all areas is the key.
You know what? A good brother, a good brother. I don't know him personally, but I've followed him, and he was in the same scenario. He had lost his family and things of that. Actually, had an affair with someone in the same ministry with him. But he said, you know what? Things you thought you'd never do. He said, sin has no conscience.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, because things you thought you never do, you would do in sin.
Oh,
Thing,
right.
could it starts going and going, and it has to grow, and like what
Progressive,
he said,
yeah.
once it takes heat, it grows. You give birth to it in James. You know what I'm saying? And then once it grows to be an adult. So when I heard that sin has no conscience, I stopped saying stuff I would never do. I said, through God's grace, God keep me that I never do.
Mhm. That's
That's
good.
my response because God keep me that I would never do this to hurt you and hurt my family. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Nah, because I know people say, Walter, you think you have low self-esteem? I said, no, I have high sin awareness. That's what I have.
Mhm.
I know me. So
Yeah.
I don't have low self-esteem. I have high sin awareness in my life that I'm daily trying to kill it.
Yeah. That's
You know what
awesome.
I'm saying? Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I'm with you, brother. I want the good things, and I strongly believe in sowing and reaping, and I
Amen.
know that, as you sow to the flesh, you reap corruption, but, our master has given us a certain way to do things, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna accept his view and opinion because he knows. And I like the results, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because I've tasted the nasty fruit. That stuff is nasty. You know what I
Right.
mean? The results, the shame, the guilt, the
Right.
frustration, the destroyed marriage, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna do it his way because, I want to experience. He knows. He knows.
And think about it, he gives us order, and we buck against the order, but the order
Right.
is there for a reason. So you think about
For
men.
for
We're
us,
men,
yeah.
we're males, and then from that we become man. You think about order: male, man, husband, father. That's
Mhm.
his order.
That's
Now we
good.
have premarital sex. We have kids out of wedlock. We do all these other things, and the reason he has it because you're learning something each step. I'm learning something myself as a male. Just because I have a penis and stuff does not make me a man. That makes me a male.
That's good.
My anatomy makes me a male, but my responsibility, how I deal with stuff, makes me a man. How I make these choices. So when you understand yourself as a manhood, what does a good steward look like over finances? What a good steward looks over. How's my credit? How's my name as a man? Before I even take on the responsibility of a husband.
Mm,
Then you learn that man, then you learn different responsibility as a husband. And then here comes the next piece you gotta learn, a father. Now I gotta lead
yeah.
differently. We should,
Mhm.
so he put it in that order for a reason. We just wanted to do our own thing.
Yeah.
God, you're keeping me from having fun. No, I'm keeping you, showing you order them so you'll lose your mind. So you're losing
Right?
out on you're losing all on your time as being a single man because now you have a child.
Mm,
Doesn't necessarily mean you want to marry the mother. Don't
right.
necessarily mean that you want to be your wife. Now you're torn. Oh, I don't want to have a broken family. Do I go ahead and marry her knowing I don't love her? I
Mm,
lusted for her. I didn't love her.
yeah.
But or do I go ahead and I had this child, now deal with that drama piece and truly now walk with the Lord and find another woman. Now, this woman that you want to make your wife has to deal with this responsibility of this child. And now she has to struggle with the mental thing. Is something still going on between them? So all these things happen because we're out of order, right?
Oh,
Because we're out
yeah.
of order. But he puts things, and like my mom used to say to me before she knew I was having sex in high school, she was like, well, you never miss what you never had. So he said, if you wait till you get, I mean, if you wait till you get married, it's a good period. This is woo, it's new, right? but but that's why he
Uh,
put things in order, man. He
yeah.
because he loves us and he knows what's best for us, and so now we have to learn. We're learning how to love through blended families. We're learning how to love through all these other things. Now we have to walk with our wives through these processes, whether it's children before us marriage or heaven forbid children after marriage, and she decides to stay with you, and now all you got to walk her
Yeah.
through her mental challenges through this process because of our sin.
Yeah.
It was to make it sound nice, say bad choice. It was sin.
Yeah. No, I hear you, brother. Oh, I hear you. I think, I'm just thinking about you're talking about the the evolution or the growth,
Right.
and at first you're kind of very dependent and you depend upon everybody else and you're childish and everything's about
Right.
you,
Right.
and we're supposed to kind of progress, in this phase, but many men still get stuck like we're 20, 30 years old and we're still like the centered
Right. Right.
self-centered, you know what I mean?
Right.
We don't
Yes.
progress to this, this interdependent man where we're giving of ourselves to our spouse and to our children, and
Mhm.
that's like the ultimate progression, is to
Right.
give. So
Right.
it's awesome, brother. I love it. Love it. Man, so
Um,
I'll close this out with give us, you talked a little bit about it, but if you could say like one thing that ultimately makes a man, like what would you say
makes what?
makes a man?
You know what? I have my quote right here.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull it off my wall here. It's by Dr. Vodi Bachman. He said, "A man is the head, master and leader of his home, and there's nothing he can do about it. He will either lead effectively or he will lead poorly, but he will lead. A
Mm.
man's failing to lead is actually a man's leading in failure."
Oof.
And that sticks with me because you're going to lead because it's a
Mm.
part of your role. You can't get
Yeah,
away from it because you
that's
don't want
good.
to. And
That's
that's
good.
my thing. I would say a man's failing to lead is actually a man's leading. We're leading in failure.
Mm. That is so
So,
good.
yeah, man, that I keep this at my desk at work just to keep me focused. Like, you know what? I'm the head of my home, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Hmm. That's
I'm going
good.
to lead them successfully. I'm going to lead them poorly, but I will lead them.
That's good. If you're listening to this podcast right now and you're struggling in this area, this is what I would ask you to consider, that the measure of a man is taking responsibility,
Yes,
and that is looking to God for the empowerment, because He will empower you to do the things that He asks of you. And
yes,
so it's just a simple submission that, yep, his view and opinion is right. And I'm going to seek his power to carry this thing out. And that is how you're going to overcome. And then also
mm,
surround yourself by like minded people that are
yes.
doing the same thing, that you can be honest with, authenticity, integrity, and just be raw and real with. So,
Awesome.
anything you'd like to add to that, brother?
Nah, there's hope, brothers.
Yes.
God loves you enough not to leave you trapped in it, and we can't dictate the way He frees us. And that's the part I think we struggle with. We think it's supposed to be this way, and it could be a total different way. It's Him freeing us,
Mm,
and sometimes we have to get back when we hate the sin. Not
mm,
like, oh yeah, I was no, I hate the smell
yeah.
of it. It
Mm,
disgusts me. It costs me so much. So just we'll pray that God will deliver you.
yeah.
I don't want him to give you peace in your sleep. I don't. I would
Yeah.
love to say, hey, God, I want God to deliver you from this
Yeah.
and to make you whole in him, whatever way he sees fit to do it.
Yeah.
So don't get bitter with him.
Yeah.
Just know he loves you.
The greatest deception you just touched on was, so this hatred and disgust for this thing that's ruining your life. The greatest
Right.
deception is that it's good, right?
You're
And
right.
so it's like, this looks tasty. This looks, something appealing, and it's like, this nice shiny little apple, but underneath there's worms, and you bite into it, and it's like nasty, so, I know, since fruit tastes nasty and we got all these negative consequences, just take our word for it. Don't suffer anymore, brothers. Come on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
uh, all righty, man. I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you.
Hey, brothers, if you ever just need prayer or just just want to build you up, man, you can reach us at our email. Currently, our website is coming up, but our email is leadingwhilebleeding@gmail.com. Again, that's LEADING, leadingwhilebleeding@gmail.com. Give us a call at 281-545-3758. Again, 281-545-3758. Or you can catch me on Facebook, Walter Heaggans, or at the Marital Journey for you. Dot the Marital Journey for you on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. All right, brother. Thank you so much, man.
My
Appreciate it.
pleasure, brother.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Bye.